This is Ignite Success. I'm your host, Snowden McFall, president of Fired Up, professional speaker, author, trainer, and coach. With me today is the Senior Director of the Department of Diversity Inclusion at UNF, Sheila Spivey. Welcome, Sheila.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
So I know you have many different roles you play, and I might not have gotten it correct. So tell me all the different roles that you play at UNF.
Our Department of Diversity Initiative houses several areas that focus on diversity and inclusion. So our Women's Center, Services to Victims of Crime, our Interfaith Center, Intercultural Center for Peace, as well as our Student Alliance for Inclusion and Diversity, which is our cultural student clubs and organizations.
So you're a busy lady. That's a lot to be responsible for.
It is, but it's very exciting.
So how many different employees do you have in all those divisions?
In our student area, we have 5 students who head up our student clubs and organizations, and we have a pretty small staff of 9 over all of those areas.
Wow. Yes. And that's a lot to administer and do.
It is.
It is. And you've been at UNF, you said you grew up there. You've been up for a long time, right?
Yes, I've been at UNF for 20 years.
That's terrific. That's obviously they love you because they wouldn't keep you if you weren't doing a great job. So with all the things that have been happening, obviously diversity and inclusion is a very hot topic these days and so necessary in today's world with the polarity and the negativity that's going on, unfortunately, out of Washington. What kinds of trends are you seeing in these various different segments of your division?
We're seeing that more people are having conversations around the topics of diversity and inclusion.
Oh, good.
But what we're also noticing is that sometimes the terminology is used interchangeably and they're not the same. They're really different. So when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, they're really 3 different things, but sometimes they're lumped into one. And we're also seeing, people come together and across different identities and talk together and work together to move diversity agendas forward.
So let's define them. I think that's a great point. Tell us what the difference is between each one of those.
Diversity is really examining who's in a space. So it takes into account difference. So when we talk about diversity, we're really focusing on the fact that we're all different and the fact that there is differences. So if you just examine who's in a space. When we talk about inclusion is really where we're creating welcoming and supportive opportunities for everyone who is in a space to feel that they belong there, that their needs are met, that they have accessibility to opportunities as well as access to everything that takes place. And equity is when we really look at what fairness is. And if we think about equity in forms of just thinking about how some people might need a little bit more opportunities, more access to have an equalized playing field.
That's wonderful. I think that's great that you clarified that. So you and I were talking before about equity. One of the cool things as far as gender equity in the workplace, the new legislation in California having women be mandated to be on boards, which is something so exciting. Hopefully that will go across the nation, and that's a big change. Yes. Are you seeing equity show up more and more around LBGY? The whole different groups that are a part of this as well?
I'm seeing equity and equality play out in places where we're really talking about how do people gain access, employment opportunities where sometimes there were glass ceilings,
right,
and we're seeing some cracks in the glass. But then we also see a trend that there could be glass escalators where, men who are in certain occupations that with the same level of academic achievement as well as employment history, that they tend to go up a lot faster and advance quicker. So I think just really looking at how do we come to a place where we can value individuals for their individual difference that they're bringing, and that they're not, and we don't see the glass escalators or ceilings that come into play.
And one of the things I see as a speaker traveling around the country working with different CEOs and different corporations is awareness, I think, is half the battle. And gender equity and the research that's been done that shows that when there is parity as far as gender in the workplace, profits improve, the workplace morale improves, there's greater collaboration, there's greater innovation. And I think that's probably true for many different sectors of diversity and inclusion. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. That when we see that where, employers as well as employees, because it really takes the entire community or the entire company to embrace it in order for us to see parity take place. And that means that, supervisors as well as colleagues are supporting each other and allowing, people to be the best that they can be.
Right, which is exciting. So are there training programs that UNF offers around that? I know the SBDC works with you all, and they sometimes do some work around that.
Through my office, we actually have a cultural competency pursuit program, and it is made up of a foundational course, which we really just focus on, what are the definitions, and we call it really the language of diversity, so that we're all speaking the same language, we have a same level of understanding, that we really examine how words can hurt when we're using terminology that might exclude people.
Right. That's so important. And I know you've got a special event every Women's History Month that's exciting. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes. Each March, we bring a woman to campus who is a renowned person in her own rights to celebrate Women's History Month with us. So we have a Women's History Month luncheon that we started 5 years ago. It is a ticketed event. I'm going to say it's the premier event for Women's History Month in Jacksonville. I'm going to claim that. It's an opportunity where we actually celebrate a faculty, a staff person who has moved the needle towards gender equity on campus. And we also celebrate a student and provide a scholarship to a student who's worked to achieve gender equity either on campus or in the broader community.
Well, thank you so much for being with us and for all you do at UNF. University of North Florida makes a huge difference in our community.
Well, thank you for having me.